So here's how top agents are qualifying sellers using AI without having to waste their time. What is going on, my real estate family? My name is Wandile Mr. W. We work primarily with top agents as well as agencies to help them get more better quality sellers and buyers without having to burn out or just solely relying on referrals by utilizing AI. So let's jump straight into this video. If you want to find out more information about what we do, check the link in the description. I've got a free course. You can go check out my socials for testimonials. And if you want to work with me directly, the link is there too. So how can you as a top agent qualify sellers to really get an idea in terms of where their intention is based in about 60 seconds without you having to waste your time? Because let's face it, if you're a top real estate agent, you have no issue getting leads, but the big issue is the lead quality. And another big issue is your time. Right? Your time is limited. So you want to make sure that you're spending as much allocated time building relationships and closing deals. So what I've done is I've prepared a few notes, just about 3 points, which is really important. That's been working very well for us. That helps our clients really qualify sellers in less than 60 seconds and getting them in touch with the right quality sellers so that they can list their home without having to negotiate in terms of price, without having to negotiate in terms of commission, and also ultimately without having to negotiate in terms of them actually getting the exclusive listing, for example. So first things first, if I'm taking a look at my notes here, I've written down here application psychology. So guys, if you want to qualify your sellers within 60 seconds so that you know that you're getting the right quality people that are looking to sell, you need to understand the whole process. So first things first, our process is super simple. Okay, we utilize AI, a really solid automated funnel and digital marketing to cover the entire process. First things first, what we do is that we like to run meta-based AI ads to then attract the leads, because we found that that's one of the fastest and the easiest ways for us to get the right clicks and the right volume. Remember, you need volume and you need traffic, especially if you're trying to find the right quality. So we utilize that, and we have a really good, what I like to call an irresistible offer, where they feel stupid to say no, to click on it. And then once they've clicked on it, they then move over onto a landing page. Right now, in this landing page, this is where the magic happens. This is where we then ideally get an idea in terms of if they qualify or not. So we actually structure that landing page where they get to apply to work with you. Right? They get to apply to see if there would be a good match to work closely with you, or for you to then decide if whether you would then actually list their house. Now, why do I call it the application psychology? Because now they're applying to work with you. Think about this for a second. Ever since we've been young, we've been programmed to, when we're applying for something, we're essentially applying for the approval. We're applying to get verified. We're applying to get people to say yes. So when you have a seller that is applying to ultimately work with you to see if you can help them, what does that do from a psychological perspective? That now puts them in a position where they're viewing you as the expert. So when we like to utilize applications, we structure it in that way so that from a psychological perspective, they view you as the expert, and they're now more waiting for you to approve of them, which means that there's ultimately higher trust. They see you as the authority, and lastly, they're now ready to work with you, ideally, because let's be honest, most sellers view estate agents and realtors and people who are in this industry as people below them, right? As middlemen, as people who are just there to go there, sign the deal, and then that's it. But they don't really realize that it's a little bit more than that. We like to work with professionals. Nobody wants to work with an amateur doctor. Nobody wants to work with an amateur lawyer. We want to work with people who are well known, who are experts and authorities in their field. And the application psychology, which is that part of it in the landing page, where we actually get them to apply to work with you by getting them to answer some questions. All right, that right there is ultimately the best way to then qualify them in less than 60 seconds. And essentially how we do that is the type of questions that we ask them. So we've noticed that in that landing page, we like to ask about 5 or 6 questions. But this is the key element here. If you want to do in less than 60 seconds, they should not be, you shouldn't be giving them the opportunity to have to write down or to answer manually. So what we've noticed is that whenever we utilize multiple choice questions where we have a question, right, and then we have different scenarios from a multiple choice perspective, that is where ultimately we get an idea in terms of where they're at. So this is very important. You need to ask quality questions. One of the questions we ask them, for example, is why are they looking to sell? Okay, and then we'll give a little bit of some examples, and then we even have one option where they can actually fill out why they're looking to sell. And 9 times out of 10, they would either select one of the options or they would write it down. Now that is key here, because then we can get an idea in terms of where is this seller and why are they looking to sell. Another question we like to find out from them is that if we successfully sell this home, are you looking to purchase another one? Now, why is this important, right? If we already like to take that assumptive close. So if we successfully sell your home, are you looking to buy another one, to get an idea, would this be a potential double deal? We're already future pacing it. We're getting them to already view us as us successfully selling their home, and also future pacing them to view you as the realtor that's actually going to be helping them. So the quality questions is also ultimately important, and we like to use 5 multiple choice questions where it's quick, rapid fire, fast to get their intention. And then ultimately at the end of the day, getting them to look at it from a psychological perspective when they're applying with you. And then lastly is identity framing. Now, why do we want to use identity framing? So identity framing is basically where you are taking an assumption in terms of, you strike me as this kind of person. All right. Now, how you strike it or how you put the identity frame, and this is the best way I can put it, is I remember when I was on a call with a sales guy, and this guy was like, you know what, we only like to work with, people who are serious about their business, people who show up, and people, who really take pride in their business, that, track their numbers, that are actively attending coaching calls, because those are the type of people that work very well. Now, if you're not that type of person, I'm sorry, we cannot work with you, purely because this is the type of criteria of person that we like to work with. Now, what he has done now is that he's created that identity framing. And then what he said after that is like, you strike me as that kind of person, or am I wrong? Now, it's a psychological trick, right? Because now I will not say, no, I'm not that kind of person, because I want to ensure that I can show and prove to him that I am a good fit for the company. Okay, because I applied to get on a call with the salesperson. And when we spoke, he then presumed I'm this kind of person, this high-level successful person. And he identified those traits of that high-level successful person. And of course, I fell for it. So when I'm talking about identity framing, it's also about putting that in the introduction before they actually apply, which is, look, we only work with sellers that are looking to take our advice, that are looking for expert feedback, and that are not going to negotiate on anything else because they are trusting us to make sure that we sell their home. We have a very high successful rate because we work only with clients that are willing to trust us, and clients that are willing to give us the full leeway ahead to trust in our expertise to help them. So just to give you a little bit of an idea in terms of how to use that as identity framing. And you can even say, are you the kind of seller that's looking to work with an expert, or do you want to work with an amateur where you say whatever you say goes and that agent has nothing to say? So you can even utilize that at the end of the question, where it's like, hey, do you promise to follow our advice, follow our price methods, and really get an understanding of how we can help you? And then you can say, yes, I trust that you will essentially help us in the process of the journey of a home if we do see that there's a match for us to work together. Or no, I want to call the shots. I want to be the one saying specifically what is my price point and how much commission I want to give you, etc., etc. So when you do that, 9 times out of 10, they're going to utilize the identity frame of someone who will listen to an expert, because they're not an expert. I mean, why the hell are they then applying to work with you if not the expert? And that's ideally one of the easiest ways to qualify sellers in 60 seconds. Okay, without you having to waste your time, and finding the right people who are ready. When I talk about qualify, it's more about qualifying their intention. The intention is ultimately key, because then once you get an idea in terms of where they're at and you get their intention, that is when you start to work only with quality sellers. And the best way to do it is by either utilizing a landing page where you ask them specific questions, but you prime them with identity framing, and then you also utilize the application psychology side, or you can use AI caller agents that will specifically utilize a prompt where you tell them, look, you are an AI caller agent, you need to sound like a representative of my company, you need to identity frame them, and you need to strike it in a way where we are only working with certain applicants who are sellers who fit this criteria and that are ready to sell within this particular time frame, etc., etc. Once you do do that, the AI caller agent then be able to call those leads and then frame it in a way where we're only working with a set number of sellers that have this particular identity framing. I'm telling you, it works absolutely well. Anyways, guys, if you got a lot of value in that, feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I have my Calendly linked down, booked below, if you would like to have a conversation with me to actually see how we can utilize this into your business. If you're a top agent and you're like, you know what, Wandile, I know I can improve in my process, let's have a conversation. But if not, feel free to share the video with someone who you know will get a lot of value in this. I'll see you guys in the next one.